In Marika's own words, my lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between. Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die.
Few characters in the lands between are as central and as enigmatic as Queen Marika the Eternal. Her presence and influence has loomed across the continent for what is implied to be millennia, shaping the destiny and fate of every being who treads upon its soil. Those who would dare defy her golden order would be met with a most pernicious wrath. But we saw that even those who showed her undying loyalty could be met with a similar fate. From her rise to power to the shattering of the Elden Ring, her legacy is as legendary as it is mysterious. The complex tapestry of Queen Marika's life, her divine power, her intricate relationships, and the monumental impact she has on the realm still puzzle us to this day. And for a game in which she plays center stage, we still know very little about her. That is, until we enter the realm of shadow, a land veiled by Marika, only for a lowly tarnished of no renown to enter to seek the truth of her origin. Before I get into this video any further, I want to give a nod to a lore YouTuber that has helped me immensely in forming my own theories through their thoughts and opinions on Shadow of the Erdtree and Elden Ring. Jack as a Mimic is someone I've had interactions with and has been a huge inspiration in helping me form and change some of my theories. He has some great content on his channel, analyzing Elden Ring through the eyes of a George R.R. Martin fan, showing how he ties in and alludes to plots and aspects from his previous novels with his work on Elden Ring. Jack's theories on Miquella are particularly interesting and directly relate to Shadow of the Erdtree. So please check him out if you want some additional high-quality Elden Ring content. Thank you. Although we don't enter this land with the intention of seeking answers to questions about Marika's past, we undoubtedly hope we can find some. In the story trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, our goddess makes an appearance, grabbing strands of gold and making her way up the steps to the Divine Tower. Letta speaks of a seduction and betrayal, alluding to Marika charming over someone or a party, only to turn her back on them later. My belief is that this seduction was used in order to fulfill the requirements to reach godhood. Once she had no more use of whomever it was, she cast them aside and founded the Golden Order. Before reaching godhood, however, she needed to conquer this realm. With the help of her son Mesmer and his friend the boar rider Gaius, she waged a bloody and fiery war within the Land of Shadows. One of the major questions leading up to the release was, who was she fighting? What people were they? I believe now we finally have an answer. Inside the Land of Shadows, there are 3 jails: Lamenter's Jail, Bony Jail, and the Belurat Jail. Insides of each of these are extremely similar, as if they were made intentionally for a certain practice. Entering into Belurat's jail, we can find a phantom which speaks, "Oh please not the jar, anything but that. I promise I won't ever do it again. I swear, a living saint I'll surely be. Please, you must forgive me, please." So from this dialogue, we now know of how the Living Jar people came to be. Those who committed a crime were to receive one of the worst punishments imaginable. They were turned into monstrosities and stuffed into these giant jars. We can learn more about this punishment through the item Innered Meat. This is what becomes of the condemned who get sliced up and stuffed into jars to become saints instead. This also puts into perspective the item raw meat dumpling, which are dropped by living jars. Not recommended for those who prefer to know the origin of their meats. We learn more about this horrific act from the bony village as well. When we arrive, we can find greater potentates wielding bony butchering knives. These weapons were tools used to dismember human bodies in the making of the great jars stored in jails. It seems as though this was the place condemned sinners were taken to then be cut up and stuffed into giant jars. Just outside the village, another phantom is shown. This is the dialogue it speaks. For pity's sake, your place is in the jar. Nigh, sainthood itself awaits you within. For shamans like you, this is your lot. And probably the most revealing line, life were you accorded for this alone. Take note as well of the top of this phantom's head. This will be important later. Coming off the last line spoken by the phantom, life were you accorded for this alone. It seems as though the people doing this to the shaman believed it was their purpose in life. This was their only reason for being born, was to be stuffed into jars. So who are these people that carried out this vile act? Well, you probably have already met one. Remember when I said to keep an eye on the head of the latest phantom? Well, it looks eerily similar to the greater potentates we meet in the bony village. But the most defining feature of all is the mask and small horns sticking out from the top of their heads. One character you may have met who looks exactly like these greater potentates is Hornsent, a follower of Mikola.
But understand, the Earth Tree is my people's enemy. By Marika long betrayed. I believe Mikola's apologies when he says our delivery will come, but never will I see your kind as...
He has his own quest line throughout the Land of Shadows. Throughout your journey, if you continue to aid him, he will give you various items. The first being Falx, a curved greatsword. Its description reads, curved swords with long sickle-like blades. A pair of weapons made to be wielded in both hands. Forged by Hornsent in the name of revenge. In vengeance for the flames, my blade I wield. The next is his and the greater potentate's iconic mask, the caterpillar mask. Grotesque mask constructed from countless solidified caterpillars. A ritual implement of the greater potentates of the bony village. Used to ward off thoughts of impurity, doubt, temptation, and other wickednesses one is vulnerable to while absorbed in divine ritual. His robe reads, ragged black cloth, overlaid with braided cord, attire of a vengeance-seeking Hornsent. The braided cord ties together the vow of the revenger with the victim's grudges. It must never come undone. Enhances both watchful spirits and vengeful spirits summoned by horned bairns. His armbands read, blackened cloth tied with braided cord, attire of a vengeance-seeking Hornsent. And finally, his soiled loincloth. This lightly soiled loincloth of ragged cloth does little more than conceal one's nether regions. Oh, that one probably wasn't too important. Anyways, what we can infer upon reading these descriptions is that although Hornsent's name is Hornsent, that's also the name of his people, the Hornsent. It seems as though his people have a strong sense of revenge and vengeance for some atrocity committed upon them. It also makes sense why the greater potentates chose to only wear the caterpillar mask while performing dismemberment of the shaman, as its purpose was to hinder any thoughts of impurity, doubt, temptation, or any weakness during the divine ritual. Meaning, if one of them possibly didn't want to commit this vile act, the mask acted as a way to force them to do so. Another Hornsent we can meet is Hornsent Grandam in the Belurat Tower settlement. She will at first not wish to speak to us, believing that we are followers of Mesmer. It isn't until we defeat the divine beast dancing lion and put on its mask that we get some dialogue.
I implore, vessel of the sacred beast, have my son accompany thee to war, and dance thy dance of beauteous color. Take vengeance upon Mesmer and his lot. They who betrayed us, aye, they who burned us. Let them face in thy wrath their just deserts. My song will I sing in service to thee. O sculpted keeper, channel thy color into the most resplendent of dances. My song will I sing in service to thee. O horn-decked beast from higher sphere delivered, we beg of thee to dance and cavort, dance and cavort. Cleanse all that thou wilt, cruelty, woe, and those who plague the tower. Cleanse away the strumpet's vile progeny.
From this interaction, we can learn a few things. 1. Grandam and the Hornsent people do not like Mesmer. 2. There was some sort of betrayal that happened between the Hornsent and Mesmer's army. 3. They want vengeance for said betrayal. And 4. Hornsent, the guy, is probably Grandam's son. Grandam's final line, "Cleanse away the strumpet's vile progeny," is referring to Marika. She is the strumpet. The word progeny is a synonym for offspring or descendant. Grandam wants us to rid the world of all of Marika's offspring. We now know that Mesmer and his army were waging war against the Hornsent in Belurat from the story trailer. This, we can infer, was nearly a complete genocide of the Hornsent people, as we see very few of them remaining in the Realm of Shadows. At least very few ones still alive. If we take a closer look at the makeup of the Shadow people we see all throughout the Realm of Shadow, we notice small horns protruding from their heads of these beings. All of these Shadow people that are seen everywhere in the realm are spirits of the Hornsent slaughtered by Mesmer and ordered by Marika. We see these enemies everywhere in the Land of Shadow. It just goes to show how brutal and how massive the killing was. We can also infer that the ghost gravestones we see all belong to the killed Hornsent. And the reason why there are so many littered throughout the Land of Shadow and none in the lands between is because, unlike the Erd Tree, the Shadow Tree does not have the ability to absorb the souls of the dead to feed off of to sustain itself. That's why the Shadow Tree looks old, decrepit, and withered, while the Erd Tree, before its burning, was bright and flourishing. So this is all great, but it doesn't answer the question. What was the betrayal committed by Mesmer that Grandam was talking about? And why was war waged against the Hornsent in the first place? For the first question, I'm not entirely sure. There are a few theories I have, but nothing substantial enough where I'm confident in saying them. For the latter one, however, I am a little more certain. Late in the game, we can arrive at the Shadowkeep Black Gate Site of Grace. If we move forward, we can fight Commander Gaius. However, if we veer to the right, we enter into a room with a statue of Marika, with her head cut off. Close by, there is a stone which reads, have mercy for the spirited away shamans. If we perform the O Mother gesture in front of the statue, it moves to reveal a hidden area. It should be noted that the O Mother gesture is located in the Bony Village, the area mentioned earlier where the shamans were taken to be stuffed into jars. Moving forward, we enter Hinterland, an area unlike any other from the Realm of Shadows or the Lands Between. It's green and lush, full of life, flowers, and animals. There aren't any enemies here, minus 2 tree sentinels, which seem to be guarding something. Once we defeat them and make our way up to the right side toward the mountaintop, we see something absolutely spectacular. Now, I want to give a warning to anyone who hasn't gotten to this part in the game yet, and give you a moment to click off this video so you don't get spoiled and can experience this area for yourself. The first time seeing this was absolutely magical and probably my favorite moment ever playing this game. So I want everyone to have that same opportunity. Okay? Warning is over. The shaman village is pure tranquility. It was jaw-dropping entering in for the first time. This is probably the only area in the Lands Between, or the Land of Shadows, that is entirely peaceful. No wars, no battles, no fighting, and no hatred. This area is just innocence. It has its own theme music. You'll notice it's a repetition of the chords you hear at the beginning of the start menu music. This song is aptly titled Shaman Village from the official OST. There isn't much to this quaint village, only 4 structures in total, all inaccessible. When we arrive, we are met with a small golden sapling, irradiating light to the field of flowers surrounding it. The item on the ground in front of the sapling reads, Minor Erdtree Incantation. Secret Incantation of Queen Marika. The only kindness of gold without order. Creates a small illusionary Erdtree that continuously restores the HP of nearby allies. Marika bathed the village of her home in gold, knowing full well that there was no one to heal. The only other item we find is towards the back of the village. A statue, sheltered by an old withered tree, holds it. Golden braid. A braid of golden hair cut loose. Queen Marika's offering to the grandmother. Boosts holy damage negation by the utmost. What was her prayer? Her wish? Her confession? There is no one left to answer. And Marika never returned home again. Oh, Marika. Now we know. Her motivation, her actions, everything leading up to her crucifixion inside the Erdtree originated right here. This was her home. The Hornsent took Marika's people, the shaman, tortured them in a sick religious ritual. Seeing her families and loved ones desecrated like this made her vow to enact revenge on the Hornsent. This was the catalyst of the war. This was the catalyst of reaching godhood. And this was the catalyst for the creation of the Elden Ring. And the worst part, when all was said and done, Marika was too late to save her people. Her guilt of not being powerful enough to stop it from happening led her to create the Golden Order, an order where people would never have to know pain like this, an order where people would never have to die, an order where they would all be one with each other. This revelation was the most amazing experience I've had while playing this game, and it all ties in perfectly with the main story. This is why the Omen, people afflicted with horns, were seen as lesser worthy because they reminded Marika of the people who slaughtered her family. And it also explains why she chose to remove the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring, so no one else would have to die around her. But even after it all, after her war campaigns, her conquests, her wrath, building a kingdom which spanned a continent, ruling with an iron fist, and putting all her faith in the greater will, it was all for nothing. It was still not enough to protect Godwyn, her golden child, the first of hers born without any afflictions. Her true heir she worked so desperately to have. His murder was the tipping point, which caused the shattering. She lost all her faith in herself, her order, and the greater will. This is why the Elden Ring was shattered. Or at least, that's my theory. There are still several questions Shadow of the Erdtree poses to us. Who were the shaman and where did they come from? What was the action that allowed Marika to reach godhood? What happened to the Land of Shadows? Why did the Hornsent perform these jar rituals on the shaman in the first place? I think I have some pretty substantial evidence to answer some of these. So if you are interested in hearing my thoughts, please let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, what are your thoughts about Marika's origin? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment? Was she justified in all her actions? What are some other questions you have about her or Shadow of the Erdtree? Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support that's been given thus far. That's it from me, but until then, I will see you all next time.